But we are in. Let's see what the people have got. Radu, once again on Diablo, he loves this hero since the bugs have been fixed and the hero's been buffed. And they've got all 3 of the promotional heroes. I know they haven't. It's cut. Okay.
Yeah, he does really like Diablo. He's, said on stream, I've heard him say it's that since the fixes came in, like it's just a really good hero, like a top tier hero now. The stats don't bear that out. He's a very mid tier hero when it comes to the stat tracking. On par with if you saw Diablo alongside 3 other heroes of similar power level, I think you would generally consider that to be a very rotten choice. Yep. But RDU has had a lot of success with that hero. Maybe he does know something that we don't in terms of how to play the hero, but still remains to be seen. I'll be looking forward to see if he can keep up his very high win rate with that hero so far and show us all how it's done.
One thing I do know about how he sees the hero is he believes that people play it too aggressively in general, rather than letting the 5/5 do its thing and just going about your business. So I'll be interested to see how he puts that together in this lobby.
Collins on Panda here. WTY Bill picking up Lorinda's pick for #1 hero in the game of Battlegrounds. You want to tell us about Yasharaj?
Yasharaj is underrated, as I've always said, because I'm obviously the best at this game and nobody else understands what they're talking about. That's quite clear. But no, the fact you can go to a tier and then repeatedly get a shot at hitting that for 2 gold. When there's something as strong as tier 4, especially with elementals are in Sottle, we can see an elemental on our screens.
Yeah.
You have a lot of things to hit for sometimes an extra minion in a turn. That is a little bit more of a function of the way that curves used to work. People are a bit more efficient at using their gold in curves now, so the power level's gone down, but it is still a very functional hero, and you get a lot of tempo for very cheap with it while you're setting up.
That was a very debatable freeze by Sun on that turn, by the way, which you saw. I think she was freezing and unfreezing on multiple turns. Like, Elemental pair with an Acolyte is about the best opening you can get. It does also open up Jeef Curve on Cookie, which I actually think is quite powerful as well. Jeef Curve, for those who aren't familiar, is spending 1 extra turn on level 1. Instead of spending 4 gold to level on turn 2, you then level on turn 3. You can then choose to either double buy or level on the turn after that for the perfect gold interval. I do think that's quite strong on Cookie, but generally it is agreed upon, and I agree as well, that the strongest thing you can do with Cookie is to go 3-on-3, level up to Tavern 3 on the 3rd turn of the game. And when you have Elemental start, you're being incentivized to do that as well, because it's the perfect start for being able to do that. So I do think that was a very tricky decision for Sun there as to whether she was going to stay or whether she was going to go with the Selly pair and the Acolyte early on.
Yeah, on Cookie's twin, Gale Wing, I have seen top players delay the curve. So they go Jeef Curve, and on 1, they don't use the hero power in the normal way. They just give the +2 and delay that hero power turn to fit in with the curve. I've seen that done. So you can play Jeef Curve, and then you pick up the 3-drop instead of picking up the 2-drop.
Yo, perfect attacks for Simi, picking up the tie there, getting the 3-7 off the first attack. She then had to win another 50-50 to dodge the loss and get the tie. So very good outcome there for Simi, saving a little bit of health. Here we do now see RDU's raid boss turn with the Diablo. He is going to have this board plus a 5-5, which is where the buff has come in. I forget what the initial minion even was. Was it 3-3, 6-6, 12-12, 24-24? So it started off as a 3-3 and doubled every turn. Now it starts off as a 5-5 and doubles every turn. So 5-5, 10-10. 20-20, 40-40. When I say every turn, I mean every one of these Diablo boss fight turns. So RDU will have the board that he has here, plus an extra 5-5, which you would imagine will be strong enough to give him 8 to 10 prizes on this turn with how powerful he is going to be.
Yeah, it should be pretty much a sweep. You just watch that Diablo go up in the standings after this turn. It would just shoot up on the left-hand side quite a long way. And then it's how you use those prizes. That's the question. The original thought process is, you save them all and win the next fight with them. But you might not. I
will just roll back on that a second, because that is the thing you do have to consider. It's not winning the fight, it's having your demon survive, right? And I think one of the problems RDU has now that people don't necessarily look out for him enough is that he doesn't have any taunt as Diablo. Right. So your opponent's first 2 attacks could just go into the 5-5, and that can cost you the prize, right? Like, that can absolutely happen.
Yeah, and you're fighting 7 people, so it will happen somewhere in some of those fights.
Correct.
But not this one by the look of it, the main one that we're watching.
No. Early bird person from the Yashiraji is pretty nice, though. Already had a sewer rat on the board. I know we've had discussions of me trying to convince you that even with 1 or 2 beasts on board, bird person is a lot of tempo. Can you just imagine for a second being RDU?
Yes,
like
so
the world must be so easy when you're RDU. Like, come on, look at this curve.
Now this is going to be interesting actually, because if RDU has a weakness, it is sometimes being a little too greedy with his triples. Would you like a tank, sir, or would you like another good card?
Tank number 7 in 2 lobbies now for RDU.
I'll take the tank. I'll think about it for a moment, as if I wasn't taking the tank, but I'll have a look.
I mean, obviously, right now, his board absolutely sucks for tank, but it really does not matter that much. Like, you can build into a tank board no problem from here. And this is, for me, these are the Diablo games where I see Diablo do well. It's the games where they do get a really heavy tempo board early on, which usually does come from Mechano tank, because now, between this tank and these treasures, RDU will probably be able to defend the next boss turn as well as he defended this one. And that means not only a full hand of actual good, useful cards that might actually do something in a few turns' time, that's also a lot of damage to the whole lobby in one turn if he actually smacks people later on with the big board as well.
Yeah, we're yet to see the big wipe, somebody killing 3 or 4 people in one turn, and I think we're looking forward to the possibility of that happening. Unless, of course, it's RDU, because of reasons previously stated.
There was a game on RDU's stream, I believe, where I think there was either 5 or 6 alive. He lost the one fight that was his actual fight for the round, but he killed everyone else. So he went from 5th or 6th to 2nd in a single fight, and everyone else died. There was just, I think it was like a Mutinous or a Millhouse maybe that beat him, was the only person left alive from 6 people standing at the start. It was absurd.
I'm trying to work out what Collins even has here. He stayed very low, but not quite on warrior curve. He's sort of missed and mashed the curve, which you kind of have to do with this hero, right? Because the hero power doesn't fit into a curve. You don't know what it's going to be. You have to just take it as it comes.
Collins is on Panda Curve this game, right? Which is you just kind of do what the hero power tells you to do on a lot of turns. Although I do think that can be a trap as well, right? Sometimes you just have to look at the 2 hero powers and say, neither of these are worth influencing my turn. I'm just going to play a normal turn as if I was a hero with no hero power this turn, right? But I think Collins has put something together reasonably well here to find himself tripling into a 4-drop. Has options now. There is keyword Avenge, but again, it is the worst keyword Avenge over on the right-hand side. But he also has Greasebot with Divine Shields available if he wants to start pumping. But Collins, clearly a believer in the Avenge. Going to line this up, make sure all of those Death Rattles and Reborns go first. It looks like he also has 1 Sneed hero power on his Micro Mummy, because that is a Death Rattle and a Reborn, it looks like, on the Micro Mummy.
Yeah,
so that's a lot of potential milk to come out of the Impatient Doomsayer here, if we can line this up nicely.
Looking forward to seeing Simi's next turn as well. She has a triple in waiting on that Maev. Already got that sort of powerful demon start that drops off so quickly if you don't keep it going. But with a triple in waiting, if she can hit one of those power 4 or 5 demons, she might be in a decent spot to get all the way up to 6 rapidly in this lobby.
Should get 1 more drop here for Collins. There it is. These trades are decent. Collins just now wants a good attack here, and he'll take that one for sure. That cuts a good amount of damage off the board, taking 3 off at the end. Decent setup with the Catherine Azir and the Imprisoner, but not the ideal. But he will probably be looking to go up to 4, use some of that power to leverage, probably milking at least 1 more turn with that Impatient Doomsayer.
It's a Bran, but it's on a demon board. It's a Croc, but it's on a demon board.
It's 3 tempo minions for Dog on a win condition hero with Reno. He really wanted to spike something that wins the game with the hero power, and he didn't. Both players in synchronicity here, 1 for Europe, 1 for Americas, just kind of hitting each other's 5 drops here.
Yeah.
Like, Dog would have happily taken that brand and made it a golden brand this game, but it's not looking like he's going to have to go again with the second micro mummy here. Looking like he is just going to sell out. He really wants to find a win condition this turn for the brand. That's why he's selling so aggressively for this. Does find a brand now, but now that he's sold out of all his Murlocs, is he still going to go for it? I think that's probably a dumb question. He has to commit to a win condition this turn, or he's way too far behind. But it's still a bit of an uphill struggle here for Dog, because that's not a brand board that he's left himself with now, having to sell so aggressively for those triples.
Yeah, that is absolutely an avenge board in the waiting. But I guess that gives him two choices, right? His next shot will tell him which of those two win conditions he goes with. Or if you're me, you just go for both.
I do think it's interesting because there was a line there for Dog where he didn't actually use the hero power that turn because he's on 4, right? So all he got from using the hero power that turn was +2/+4 stats on Bram, which might save him a little bit of health here and there, but probably not super relevant in the fight overall. And then that gave him one turn of just being on 4 to perhaps look for Avenge to go golden on the following turn. I think with him having, believe over half health still, he maybe had enough chance to still be milking with Golden Avenge if he got to that point. So it's a possible line he could have considered.
I nearly fell into the trap here of thinking Evelyn had a bad board, but she's on Sneed. But she did seem to only have one active death rattle, so perhaps it is actually a bad board after all.
Was it literally one death rattle or just one minion with a million death rattles?
One minion with one death rattle I saw. Maybe I missed one early on, but I only saw one death rattle drop.
Alright. Tableau boss fight yet again. And this is the kind of situation I was talking about. There are multiple heroes in range of just being killed by RDU this turn. He just wants to get as big as possible this turn, make himself a murder board, stick some expensive things on the far right of his board so they live. Anything he can do to deal extra damage, because he has a good shot of deleting half the lobby here with how strong he is with Juggler, Demons, and the Mechano tank now as well.
Yeah, and he's bearing out what you're saying there. He's scrolled past 2 Nest Matrons on a board that would quite happily take a Nest Matron in a lot of circumstances.
Yep.
But 14
It's
health.
murdering time. He's not concerned with value. This is the absolutely correct team play here from this position. If he eliminates enough people, enough of them will be America's players that he puts himself back in a good position. The problem is, going back to the story of RDU carrying Europe so far, he's probably going to kill some Europe players this turn too with the way things are panning out. That is, I believe, Sun on Cookie down there in second bottom position right now, who is very vulnerable to dying to this board. We haven't seen her board recently. She might be monstrous, I don't know. But if she is weak and low on health, she is in real danger of being killed by RDU this
So
time.
is Dog if he didn't fix that board quick enough.
Absolutely, yep.
Like if he got some things to work with the brand, sure, but he didn't have a board at the start of the turn, so it'd be interesting to see if Dog just vanishes after this fight.
Well, Collins is dead, I can tell you that much. I would be stunned if he got out of this one alive.
We'll see if Evelyn's also going to die. She did have at least one death rattle on the Juggler, but I believe it was only one last turn. We'll see now. No, it must have been 2 last turn. No, it's still 1 because she dropped the Khadgar. Right.
And there you go. That is going to be 13 damage over to Dog. That is going to be 15 damage to Aveline.
Oh!
So, sorry, Collins does die. That is half the lobby deleted. That's Sun. That is Dog. That was Collins on the Panda. And who was the Maiev? Was that Simi? That was Simi on the Maiev going down as well.
And now the fun begins. First of all, RDU's actually reasonably strong. Secondly, there's 3 more rounds that might not even be matter. You get to turn 12, he gets to do it all again, but he might have killed everybody by then. But now he's actually got to play real Hearthstone without any help from 10-10s. Just all these.
And can I get a tank count check, please, Cody? That is tank number 8 in lobby number 2 for RDU up until this point.
8 tank Radu.
Been calling him that for years.
And now he's actually got to use these prizes aggressively, right? Because he is going to get caught up. He doesn't actually have a real Hearthstone board at the moment. He's just got things that will keep him alive for a little while longer. But this is going to get outscaled quite fast. So he needs to sort of kill people each turn. Is how I see it.
We are right back where we were last lobby, by the way. Sub in Avalyn for Luna, which is a big win for Europe, of course. It means a little bit more Europe representative in that top 4. Shout outs to Av picking up a top 4 with the Sneed so far. But guess who the other 2 players left alive are, Lorinda? That is WTY Bill on the Usherage, and that is Slysssa on the Mutinous, the exact same 2 Americas players that were hanging out with RDU in the top 4 of the previous game as well.
Yeah, and I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, unfortunately, but I believe they both did very well yesterday as well. So this is going to be a theme, not just for the rest of the day, but for the rest of this tournament.
Slyssa's a beast. Like, genuinely, shout out to Slysssa, because someone who doesn't have like the super extensive tournament background that RDU has, she has that same tournament mode Slysssa aura, right? Where it seems like when it comes down to situations like this, she just absolutely enters beast mode. And like I say, she's doing it with significantly less competitive background, at least in Hearthstone, than RDU is doing it. But
yeah, she did.
Nonetheless, she does survive.
She picked up the team league. She played for Liquid in the China Battlegrounds, so she picked up some experience that way. But it's very different to the not so regular way that other tournaments might work with delays and such like. That was very, very scheduled and on time and everything.
Av does bite the dust here, which means we are down to exactly the same top 3 yet again with WTY Bill, with Slysssa, and with RDU. RDU once again looking in decent shape to take this down with how far ahead of the power scaling he is. We haven't had a look at WTY's bill for WTY Bill's board, for a couple of turns, but RDU just has the board that the game hasn't gone long enough for this board to drop off in terms of scaling, and it absolutely will very soon. But RDU is doing a fantastic job of doing what he needs to do, and that's killing people before that happens. And he's also now making a push to actually turn this into something a little bit more impactful. That's a very good Amalgadon to get in the circumstance. He gets poison and he gets plants, which has the synergy with his tank stuff that he has going on. So that's a pretty nice roll on the Amalgadon right there.
And this was a hard turn as well, because he had a lot of synergy on that board and he had to work out which bits of synergy to break. So he chose to get rid of the imps and the jugglers, which made sense when you see it, on the board afterwards. If you can't beat them,
yes, indeed. Indeed. And this is Bill has Divine Shields and resets on his side alongside that as well, which I think will interact very nicely with, Amalgadon, no Divine Shield, poison on the other side, for example.
He might lose to the Ghost here because those jugglers sniped both tanks. Or sniped the tank.
Oh! That's brutal. I was looking left. I didn't even see that happen. I looked back to the right just at the final moment to see the tanks come down. Very, very real chance that he is going to bite the dust of the Ghost now. Absolutely. Was not prepared to be seeing Soul Jugglers coming out here. Just absolutely was not equipped to deal with this. And yeah, that is him biting the dust. You would have to imagine from this point. Oh! Hang on, what level? Tavern 4, that's 10 damage! He lives! That's a 25%er according to the numbers on the screen. 75% to die that turn, it looked like. And you see the range of Sneed's damage that's possible. I believe the average damage tracker on that fight was 7 to 28 on a loss for WTY Bill.
Yeah, who knows what it might do to you. Right.
Yeah.
So he gets a second chance. That was an incredible pair of snipes. So he must have been in a slightly better position than maybe the tracker thought, because he had the worst possible start and still got through it.
His attacks did go incredibly well for the last 3 or 4 attacks. So like it was 3 or 4 like genuine 1-outers that he needed to hit in a row to be able to save that one, including juggles going in particular directions as well.
Radu has got through his prizes, and I mean he's heads up, so yep, he's timed it well, and he has just paced the game beautifully so far.
Yep.
And looking at these boards, it's hard to really get an instant gain because the deflectos are going to do a lot of damage here. But it does look like Radu's got a slight advantage. That 2738 Sorrowlisk in its own right is actually doing more work than maybe we've alerted people to, because we are talking about tanks a lot.
Yeah, just I guess focusing on positioning, which is not something we've talked about too much. It's hard to hit on everything with the frenetic pace of a Battlegrounds lobby like this, but I think if RDU knew exactly what he was up against here with double tank on the other side, he would move the Sorolisk down to soak as many mech tank shots as possible without it actually attacking into something itself, right? Because once his 2738 goes down and once something attacks into his big 15 health Taunt, those tanks are the next target left on the board that will get shot by the tanks with the way the health breakpoints work. So preserving some health on that Sorolisk would have been important. But again, I don't think RDU knew what he was up against on the other side, so that's not really a decision you can necessarily make unless you're going to make the read from... Oh! Never mind! That ghoul is disgusting for WTY Bill. That cost him his Deflecto bot on that turn. I think he's still fine. He is absolutely still fine being able to get out of this one. There is still the demons to contend with, though, on the other side. Bill does have initiative here, though, I believe, with the attacks.
I think...
Oh, no, his tank is attacking, so now Double Demon is going to summon, and Bill is not going to beat Double Demon with 2 mechs, and that means that Ghoul Spawn ruining his Deflecto bot just means RDU is picking up yet another fat dub. And Lorinda, I can see it on his face already.
I know.
I can already see the reign of tyranny that we're going to have to be subjected to from RDU stream if this keeps going.
What does that mean?
Size matters, so people can check out what size they are by typing the command size. See if they're chonkers or dinkers or average or growers or showers.